Alright guys, here we go. The bike's on the ground. Yes, this one doesn't have a kickstand. We took it off because it got in the way. That happens. But more importantly, we're going to show you how to take the tire off and then how to take the tire off the rim. Okay? So I guess I should say take the wheel off the bike and then take the tire off the rim. That would be more correct. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is grab a couple boards. These boards work good because you don't want the shifters getting all messed up. So you're just going to take the bike, use your rear brake to help you out. Alright, I'm bouncing it around too much. Alright, and then you're going to set the handlebars down on the blocks. Okay? Now, that they're on the blocks, I need to get the right tools. Actually, the first part of this is going to be pretty simple. So we're going to just kind of take the wheel off the bike. And I just got finished making my brake video. If you guys need to see the other videos in this series, I'll have clickable links in the description below, plus a page on my website, careerwideninja.com. We're going to release the brakes, okay? So you're just going to come down here, pinch this together, and this will pull out. Alright, very cool. I show that in more detail in my brake video. Okay, oops. Alright, sorry, when the springs pop. Alright, make sure the brakes are open. That's great. And now, all we've got are two nuts holding this on. Okay? And the nuts do not generally, some bikes they may, every bike's a little bit different, but most of them do not have to come all the way off. Okay, you can see there the nuts are plenty loose, but still sitting in place, so we don't lose them. And there's the entire wheel of the bike. That easy. Now let's go ahead and take the tire off the rim. So we're going to take the dust cap off. Excuse me. We're going to take the dust cap off of the stem. This is a valve stem remover. Now guys, of course you can stick something in there and let the pressure out of the inner tube. Because that's the next step you need to do, is you need to let the pressure out, okay? The reason I have the valve stem remover, which if you can't find that in the bike department, they don't all have that. Generally the automotive department of any big box store will have them. And, almost there. A couple of turns. Don't let this shoot out, because it could possibly shoot out somewhere to find it. This little tiny thing is your valve stem. That is what seals your inner tube. And yes, cars have those too, even though they don't have inner tubes. They do have a valve, they do have a valve stem, and you can pull that out and it lets the air out of the tire very quickly. Now, I would highly recommend these little tire paddles. You can kind of shimmy a screwdriver in here, but sometimes you can really scratch your rim or cut into your tire or your inner tube, especially if you're using a screwdriver. These are plastic, they're rounded. Now you can still, if you're not careful, damage your inner tube. But most of the time, your inner tube's already damaged, and that's why you're taking your tire off. So we're going to stick one in there and get it started. We're going to stick the next one in there, and you should be able to just spin her around, and boom. Now you really just need these paddles to get the first side open, and that gets it open real nice. You're going to go to the other side. You can see the rim is open there, and that's really all there is to it. For those of you who were scared to take off the tire and change the inner tube, don't be scared anymore. And there's the inner tube. And see, now that the valve stem is out, it gets flat very easy. At this point here, if you got something in your tire, if you got a hole in your inner tube, it's good to take your tire and carefully, and I say carefully because it could be a thorn in here or something like that, and it's going to hurt it when you hit it, is run your fingers along the inside of the tire, you know, one at a time, going across both halves of your tire with your fingers, and feel any sharp objects. I actually had that on this bike here last month and found it and was able to pull it out. It was actually a pain in the butt, but it was a thorn that had gone through and damaged the inner tube. So we've already put a new inner tube on here. So what we're going to do is we'll just pretend that's a new inner tube because there's nothing wrong with that one there. And we're going to stick this in. So easiest way to put this back together is stick in the inner tube into the tire, like so. Obviously making sure that the valve stem is sticking out, so we don't want this all twisted in there. You want the inner tube to be straight. Okay? Now that the inner tube is in the tire, boom baby. And if you're buying a new inner tube, your tire is going to tell you what the size inner tube you need right here. Alright, see this right here? You probably can't read it. Where'd it go? It says 24 by 1.95, okay? So we got a 24-inch rim, that's going to be the distance like this, and then we've got 1.95, that's going to be the width, okay? Some of your newer bikes, they have fat tires. You got some skinny ones for the street bikes, which many of us have seen over the years, the real skinny ones. But then you got some really fat ones now that have a 3 or 4 or 5-inch width. Well, I know the 4, I'm not sure there's actually a 5. And you want to make sure that your inner tube is going to fit that properly. Also, while you're here looking at the tire, you need to go ahead and look at the pressure. So right next to where the size is stamped on the tire is you want to look at the max pressure, okay? Because a lot of people think, well, don't I just put it at 35 pounds? Well, that is kind of like an average tire pressure for an automobile, and even many automobile tires these days on light passenger cars will go to like 44 pounds, and that gives you your max pressure. Now this one here, max pressure is actually 50 pounds on this tire here. Now I never put this one to 50 pounds because I need the tire to take some of the beating when I'm on the trails. If I'm just going down the road and I'm going to be on hard trails, like all paved, I'll crank it up to 45 pounds or something like that. But if I'm going to be hitting the trails, I don't go over 35. My wife's bike, which is a cruiser with a street tire, that I believe has a maximum of 65 pounds. And because that's only on the road, I take it all the way to 65 pounds to give her best ride on that, alright? So check that before you inflate it, which we're going to do here in a minute. But we got to get it back together first, alright? So that being said, there's your valve stem. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to go too far out there, but you got to know everything to do this right. So you're going to take your valve stem and you're going to stick it in the hole. Come on. It's your home. Do you want to go to your home? Alright, sometimes it's a pain in the butt. Alright, there we go. Alright, now that it's in, you can see the one side's already started. So you're just going to use your hands and you're going to pull the first side over. Okay? Now that the first side is over, you want to make sure that the inner tube, you see right here the inner tube's hanging over? It's not good. I don't want to damage the inner tube. So you want to make sure that there's no inner tube hanging over. Now that the inner tube should be lined up with the rim. Now you don't need these paddles, okay? The paddles are only for taking off the first side. From there on, the paddles are go to the side. So, there you go. These bicycle tires generally bend pretty easy. You're just going to pull it into place. Like I said, making sure that the inner tube was already in place because this could tear the inner tube if you get rough with it and it's hanging over. Okay, the valve stem, when you pull it out, make sure it's straight. You see it's crooked? So you want to kind of like push the tire a little bit back forward so that she's coming down straight. You don't want the valve stem being pushed either direction real hard because that actually causes it to cut on the rim and get damaged, and then you're going to get a leak. All right, so here's the valve stem right here. The little inserts, we're going to put that back in the right direction. When you let gravity help us, you do need to kind of hold it in place because she'll just push back inside if you don't. And spoke's kind of getting in the way a little bit. Now this does not need to get cranked down, just snug. Okay, that's snugged up. Alright, now this is going to sound silly, but we're going to take it through all the steps here. Now we're going to air the tire up. So the tire is empty, you got to hold the valve stem in place so you can get the pump on her, lock it in place. Now with the pumps here, I really like to adjust this every time that I do it so that I know what I'm aiming at, my pressure. Alright, so I'm aiming at 35 like I said. So I got my little red meter there set there so I don't have to sit there and look at this super close the whole time. I know this takes a while, right? I hope it's not taking long there watching it, is it? is feel like I'm doing. Okay, kind of a bad angle to do that at, but there we go. Okay, tire is back under pressure. Okay, it's kind of nice since you've already got it off the bike, it's a little easier to handle. Get the dust cap back on. Alright, make sure everything, double check one last time, make sure that the tire is in the rim and everything looks good. This is a front tire here. There's no gears on it, it doesn't really matter which direction it goes, except for maybe the tire itself, okay? Some tires have a specific tread and they want to rotate in a certain way. This one here really doesn't, alright? It doesn't really matter which direction it goes. So I'm just going to stick it back on. Alright, make sure she's centered. You don't want it cockeyed, because then you're going to be really off there. So make sure she's down all the way on both sides. I'm holding the tire down so she doesn't move when I tighten it up. Alright, we're going to tighten the one side up. Holding the tire down tight. Like I said, I want to make sure it's still centered. Okay, both those are snugged up. Now we've got to put the brakes back together, of course. We want to be able to stop. Okay, get in there. Okay. And then, alright, I want to kind of double check the brakes there. Okay. Oh, one of my tension springs popped loose. Alright, there's little springs on either side of the brake that actually cause them to come back out, and this one popped loose. It's very easy to snap back in by hand. It just snaps behind the little ledge there. You want to make sure that's working right, because sometimes that gets thrown off there when you take it off. But other than that, guys, thanks for hanging around with me on this video. In this video, we successfully removed the wheel, took the tire off the wheel, changed the inner tube, put it back together, aired it up, and reinstalled it. So guys, if you want to check out the other videos in my series, there'll be clickable links in the description down below, along with a dedicated page on my website, greatbyninja.com. Thanks again.